This may be one of the biggest Linkin Park rumors we've had in quite some time, so buckle up, everybody. Of course, like many of you, I remember when I first saw the premiere of the One Step Closer video, and I was hooked ever since. Linkin Park went on to become one of the most beloved rock bands of all time. And Chester Bennington's legacy is still felt to this day through the performance of the unreleased songs they've been dropping, like Lost, which performed very well, the box sets that show the writing process. You can hear different versions of massive Linkin Park hits, even with alternate lyrics sometimes. But the question that has been on everybody's mind is, will Linkin Park ever perform again? That's the question that people like Mike Shinoda, unfortunately, are probably asked in every interview they do. And he's someone who's really transparent with the fans, and he's spoken on this subject a number of times. And there is a musician who might be in a position to know, who opened up about this subject and might have let something very big slip. We've seen this happen in the past where musicians have let things slip and they have gone on to become true. But this is a rumor, but it's one that I find to be very interesting. Now, first, there has been some other big Linkin Park news that recently took place. The band settled a lawsuit with the former member of the band who stated that he was owed royalties. The terms of that settlement are confidential, but this is what we have from Billboard. So here you go. Linkin Park settles lawsuit filed by ex-bassist over the band's debut album. Now, what you must know about this situation is I don't think there was ever really any bad blood here. I certainly don't think that Linkin Park was trying to steal from him, but I do think he may have been owed some royalties, and this was just kind of more of an administrative lawsuit where he is going, hey, I played on that track, I'm not being compensated. Linkin Park disagreed. Again, this wasn't really an ugly situation. It's just one of those things. But the statement proves that this was resolved amicably. It involves a settlement with their former bassist, Kyle Christner, who played with a number of showcase shows the band did that ultimately led to their signing, and played on some of the recordings that ended up on this Linkin Park re-release of Hybrid Theory, which was very popular. This is the statement as it reads, which was released late last week. It says, Kyle is a very talented musician who made valuable contributions to Linkin Park at a pivotal time in 1999. He performed with the band in several shows and many record label showcases. Kyle helped write and perform on many songs from that era, including some of the songs on the Hybrid Theory EP. So it's nice to see. It seems like a fair resolution happened there for both the band and their former bassist. Of course, the rock world to this day continues to mourn the loss of their legendary late frontman, Chester Bennington, who passed away shockingly back in 2017. And it led to those questions of whether or not the band would perform again. Now, Chester's legacy is evident by the fact that to this day, fans are clamoring to just have the opportunity to show up in a live setting and really hear those songs again and sing them. And there's been so much question about whether or not the band would ever return. This is some of what we've heard from the group as to whether or not they were going to return. This is kind of what they've said about it in the past. So this was back in February of 2019, quite some time ago, where Shinoda said, "Let me clarify a rumor. We are not looking for a new singer, and if it were to happen organically, I'd be open." Seems pretty clear, yet I guess some folks have a hard time understanding. I'm not into predicting the future. The future will happen. Stop making shit up. So I just wanted to go back to 2019 to point out how, like, Mike Shinoda, mad respect to him, because he's really always been very honest about his intentions and what the band may end up doing or may not, which is he never shut the door on a Linkin Park return, and he always kept it real. He's like, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And I think we might be in that era where the ideas are being kicked around for a number of reasons, including that I think we've seen other bands that have lost very beloved members be able to get out on the road. Pantera, for me, comes to mind. Yes, there was some controversy initially, but they pulled it off. I mean, they've done this where they're out there on the road and they're really doing beautiful tributes to the Abbott brothers. So for Linkin Park fans, I haven't seen anybody say that they wouldn't want to see the band come back, because we know that this group is going to do justice for Chester's legacy, and I would love to see them come back. So fast forward to 2021, and Shinoda spoke to Tuna on Toast with Stryker on his podcast, and at the time he said Linkin Park hadn't really thought about the prospect of continuing, and he goes, For me, I'm like, okay, physically I could still tour. That part's good. Hopefully that doesn't change anytime soon. But now is not the time. We don't have the focus on it. We don't have the math worked out. And I don't mean the financial math. I mean the emotional and creative math. Now, I thought this was an interesting question here from Stryker. He asked him if they would be interested in doing like a hologram style tour with Chester. I just want to say there is a lot of investment currently happening in that technology. You're seeing it with Kiss. You're seeing it with ABBA. This is something that people are spending a lot of time on, but there are a lot of artists who are very put off by it as well, understandably. I think in a situation like this, I don't know that I would go for that. Again, I would like to see Linkin Park come back. I would love to see Linkin Park come back. I'm all the way in support of that. I don't like the hologram idea. And so, but he said, negative $1,000,000%. Love it. Love it. I'm spot on, Shinoda. The idea of doing a Linkin Park hologram thing, it's awful. Yes. Hell yeah. Totally correct. Mike has really been very consistent and I have so much respect for him. Just very classy through this entire situation. All right, friends. So this is the part where it gets really interesting. And this may be one of the most significant rumors I've heard in quite some time, where you have this, in my opinion, a reputable source of information. He's a well-known vocalist from a well-known band who probably has a lot of connections and a lot of friends. And he is speaking in an interview. It just kind of comes out that he's heard Linkin Park is working with a new vocalist. And he has now, just a few minutes ago, released an additional statement. Now, the Linkin Park fans, understandably, are going wild over this. And I think these fans they're different than your average fan base in that, you know, there are some fan bases where a lot of it's very surface level. These fans ride for Linkin Park. They are experts on the band. They know the entire history. They know the lore behind the group. So when they see this, I've been covering Linkin Park since I've been doing this. You look at this and go, huh, that's interesting. That's really interesting he said that. Did he make that up out of thin air? I don't think so. So it's really interesting. And it's a rumor, again, and for what it's worth, he's issued a response as well. So this is where it kind of all got started. So this all stems from an interview with Orgy singer Jay Gordon. Now, of course, this band goes way back in the nu metal era. They were on the Family Values tour. They've had a really great career, and I saw them live last year. They put on a great show to this day. And so the subject of Linkin Park comes up, and he says this very interesting statement. This, according to LP Live. Check this out. So again, check this out. Linkin Park Live, made for the fans, by the fans. Again, well done. Great fan base here. Just really out here, really still holding it down all these years later. So check this out, y'all. It says, in an interview with Wired in the Empire, Orgy frontman Jay Gordon made a comment about Linkin Park having a new vocalist. He goes, very, very cool guys, and obviously a great band. They've been around a long time, and they're still going for it. As captured by Loudwire, he says, it's going to be tough without Chester, but we'll see. I hear they got a girl singer now. That's what I heard. Gordon then walked back his comment saying, don't quote me on that. I'm not sure who the singer is going to be, but I heard it was going to be female. They might just try to move on like that. That ought to be interesting. So it seems like Jay just kind of said something that he heard. Again, he's not saying it's a fact. He's just saying, look, this is what I heard. I don't see anything wrong with that. And it went very viral on the internet. Again, it's just hard to really put into words the magnitude that a band like Linkin Park has around the world. You really can't make sense of it or wrap your head around it. It's just they are one of the biggest bands of all time. This is a massive, massive band to this day. Now, I'm going to get to what I think about how this will play out after this. I want to point, though, that Jay has put out an additional statement. And he's not very happy with this situation, but also what he had to say was just as interesting to me. So this is from Jay on Facebook, as shared by LP Live. He wrote, with regards to this Linkin Park singer thing, I know nothing about any of that. People sure do love to take my words out of context. I love those guys and wish them the best. Wow, I was like, what the actual F? I said nothing about knowing any of that and never brought it up. I love Chester, and there will never be another him ever. Strange that dude said something to me about it, not the other way around. Get real, dude, not cool. Interesting. Now, LP Live had this reaction They said, Jay Gordon has issued a statement about the Linkin Park comments recently. However, Jay is who brought up the new singer, not the interviewer. It's going to be tough without Chester, but we'll see. I hear they got a girl singer now. That's what I heard. And then they linked to the video. Give LP Live a follow. Y'all know I love independent media. They've been all over this, understandably. And this is no disrespect to Jay Gordon. He's a very talented musician. If you look at his statement, in some ways, his response almost makes me feel like it's more legit. Does that make sense to you? Like he's really coming out going, I didn't even bring it up. I didn't say anything about it, but I don't know anything about it, etc. Which of course he just said, this is what I heard. But he doesn't say I made it up or anything, because I don't think he did. I think that is what he heard. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just he's just saying what he heard. And so we have no confirmation about whether or not Linkin Park is coming back, but he is hearing they're working with a female singer. So let's just say this was true. Let's just say this turns out to be correct. I think it's a brilliant move by Linkin Park. I think in some ways you're always going to deal with those comparisons to Chester, and nobody is ever going to outdo Chester Bennington, one of the greatest frontmen and vocalists of all time. So, I mean, everybody understands this. Whoever steps into that role understands this. But at the same time, you're going with the female singer. It really changes the sound of the band in some ways, but also allows this potential singer to put their own style onto it. And so I'm really loving this idea. And I think it from the onset creates a scenario, if it were true, that this very clearly would be an organic collaboration that's taking place, as Mike Shinoda has always indicated. So I'm really, really interested in this. And if Linkin Park comes back, just like all of you, I am very sure I'm behind this 100%. And I would love to have the opportunity to go see Linkin Park and pay tribute to Chester Bennington and see this band that has entertained us for years, that puts on a world-class live show. But this is a to be determined kind of thing. Again, this is a rumor. We don't know if there's any truth to this, but I thought it was worth mentioning because I found this to be very interesting. Very interesting. Am I crazy? Let me know in the comments, friends. As always, I appreciate you so much. And of course, that was April Fool's yesterday. I'm not going anywhere. I appreciate your support so much. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you're new here for the latest news and updates about your favorite bands right here at Rockfeed.